Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Hold one, Andre.
You're not good at this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
Oh my God!
Sorry, no speak English.
Dummy. Goodbye and good night. Hold two, on bar.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Dummy.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
Hold three, Lamas covered, three-handle family Gradunzel.
Mamma mia!
And now, Unchained.media presents the B Plus Podcast with your host, Greg Unchained.
It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
Number 4, armbar.
I will never retire!
I still got 200 more. I got 200 more holes to list.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the B Plus Podcast. I am your host, Greg Unchained. Today is Wednesday, so you know what that means. It's King of Sports time. It's time for us to talk about everything New Japan Pro Wrestling, and this actually might be the last King of Sportscast for a couple of weeks at least, as we have finished the G1. We made it. We made it through the G1. We did it together. Thanks for joining us on the ride. Also joining us on the ride, of course, is none other than our very own New Japan expert, Big Boy Mikey. How are you, Big Boy?
Yeah, not too bad, buddy, not too bad. Glad to be on the other end of the G1 now. It's time for a couple of weeks break from New Japan to be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it'll be nice. I think I'll probably miss it at the same time. It's kind of a mixed bag of feelings, really. This is my first time watching it end to end every night. Definitely helped that it was all in English this time around. So I just think that it's going to be hard to go back to... I mean, I've been watching Raw and everything while I've been watching this as well, and it's already been hard. So I think I will miss it at the same time.
Right. Like, yeah, I'm not going to say that I'm not enjoying watching the New Japan, which is fantastic. It's just, it's been a long, hectic 5 weeks. I mean, I guess I've got personal stuff that's been happening in my life at the same time, which has made it a lot more frustrating in the last five weeks to to stay up, and I've wanted to write and record so much more regarding the G1, but haven't been able to. But it's been a long 5 weeks. There was a really long slog in the middle there that we struggled to get through. But look, as New Japan does, the last 5 days were just phenomenal, and they just know how to tug at your heartstrings every step of the way.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I took some advice from some other podcasts that I listened to because I was going to be recording the whole thing. Originally, I was only going to be doing the audio and you were going to be doing the written reviews, but then I sort of stepped up when you had some personal issues, which I'm happy to do, obviously, and sort of covered for the written reviews as well. And the best advice that I got was don't let yourself fall behind, because if you fall behind one day, it's really easy to fall behind 2 days, and then before you know it, you're watching 3 shows all in one day to try to catch up, and that's really hard to do. Right. So I just made sure that no matter what I was doing, no matter where I was, except for the nights when I went to local shows, I would watch it obviously straight after. I refused to let myself go to sleep until I had watched that day's G1.
No, yeah, it's good.
So that was the best advice I'd ever had. So if anyone is ever tackling a similar kind of undertaking where you're going to try to watch every single one of them for the purposes like we have, because I don't know if I'd even recommend watching all of the tournament matches. Sometimes it's best just to watch the highlights. But if you are going to watch all of them, definitely don't let yourself fall behind, because once you fall behind, it becomes real hard to catch up.
Absolutely.
Let's get into it, because we've got a lot to talk about. We've got 4 nights to break down, and then we'll give sort of our little G1 awards, I guess, the B plus G1 awards. So let's start with night 16. That was some B block action. Tomohiro Ishii versus Juice Robinson. Another great Ishii match. Ishii's been fantastic this whole tournament. He's pinned all 3 champions in the G1. So Ishii comes out on top of this one, and he has beaten all 3 of the champions.
Right, because like you said, another great match. Just standard Ishii. Juice has been, it hasn't been like a standout in the tournament, but he's had a good tournament. But Ishii, one of the standouts. Like you said, pinned all 3 champions, and people forget that it's not just about winning the G1, it's about those little bits and pieces that, and New Japan will use those for storylines for the latter part of this year.
Sowing seeds for later in the year. Now, I think that if these 2 were given a higher position in the card, they would have hit that extra gear, and this match would have been even better than it was. As it was, I already gave it a standing O. I don't think Ishii got anything other than standing O's from me this tournament, but this match with Juice is a guy to watch, like, definitely. We've been saying it the whole time. We've been saying it since before the tournament. Juice Robinson is an absolute star, and I think that they could have gone to another level, and they could have really had a fantastic match, but they know their spot on the card, and they're professionals, so they're not going to try to steal the show from where they are.
Absolutely.
Come the title match, though, I think that we will see a main event caliber performance in a title match for these 2.
Right. And Ishii, and little note, Ishii was in the original final for the US title tournament, so, maybe he'll try and finally get one back and get the US title around his waist.
Yeah, could be setting his sights back there. Now, we had Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hiroki Goto. Good match.
Yeah.
I think Zack might have his eyes on some gold as well, because after he defeated Goto with the European clutch pin, he put the Never title on his shoulder.
Right, and I think the Never title is the first singles title for Zack Sabre Jr. in New Japan, and I think it's a smart way to give him his first title. Like, every other promotion that Zack Sabre Jr. steps in, he's held the major title, whether it's Evolve, PWG, Rev Pro, Progress, everything. He's had the world title in every promotion he's gone to. So I don't know if Zack Sabre will ever reach the top of the IWGP mountain, but the Never title is a great way to start it. So, yeah.
See, I'd like to see Zack go from New Japan Cup winner to Intercontinental Champion is where I'd like to see him go. But with Jericho holding the title, I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. So the Never title's a good stopgap.
That's right. Exactly. Zack went to 10 points after this one, so a very good tournament showing from Zack.
Yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. is one of my favorite wrestlers in the world. We know this, so I don't think he has any such thing as a not good match. But moving on, we had Kota Ibushi versus Tama Tonga. More shenanigans. Probably some of the better played out interference, though, in the tournament, because we had Bullet Club Elite come out, and this set up for the next match with Toru Yano and Kenny Omega.
Right.
I thought it was the way they handled the interference here. It was actually, this is what the interference should have looked like throughout the tournament.
Yeah, I reckon it would have looked a lot better if they hadn't done any of that through the rest of the tournament and did that tonight, on that night. For the first.
But you got to remember, not every fan is watching every show, and it's for the live crowd. So, I mean, before wrestling was ever broadcast on the internet, they would repeat spots all the time because they're just doing it for, the 1,000 or so people that are there.
Right.
And that's a mentality that still kind of exists, I suppose, especially when you're running a touring company like New Japan, that you can have repeat. Think of the Suzuki matches throughout this tournament, and none of them were bad, but every single one of them had that go into the crowd, throw them into the chairs, every single one of them.
Right.
It's just one of those things where you're doing something for the live crowd, and it becomes repetitive for those like us who are watching every single show.
Yeah. But no, this played out perfect. And
so there was the ref bump, and then Tangaloa gets in, and Bad Luck Fale gets in, and then the Bullet Club Elite come out, and then Kenny gets beaten down as well. Straight after that beatdown, Toru Yano runs out because he's scheduled for Kenny Omega in the next match. And so he runs out and tries to get the bell rung as quickly as he can so he can capitalize on an already knocked out Kenny Omega.
Typical Yano. Look, Yano is not one of those guys that people are going to think at the end of the tournament, he doesn't have match of the night, ratings, and he doesn't get those sort of things. But mate, he's just been so fun to watch through this tournament.
Yeah,
and this is just another.
He does from me. I'll happily give him a match of the night.
Yeah, but no, he's just so fantastic. He is maybe not the match of the night, but for me, he gives performances of the night, and yeah, he's just so entertaining, and I just love the little standoff that they had with the corner pads and stuff like that. It was just so fun, and I had a little G1 tipping comp going with my mates. And I was the only one that picked Yano to win this because I had a feeling something was going to happen. Like, no way,
yeah, he would act as a spoiler. Yeah.
And everyone's like, Yano's not going to beat Kenny. Are you kidding? I'm like, trust me. Like, this is the type of thing that would happen. And yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I don't think Yano's going to be getting a title match. I don't think that's going to happen. But I definitely do think that, the way it played out as well, obviously there was interference in the finish.
Yeah.
We had Kenny and Red Shoes both getting low blowed, and then with Red Shoes down, the firing squad come back out and just beat the hell out of everyone.
Right.
And then Tama places Yano on top of Kenny for the win. So he didn't even do it in his usual Yano way with a roll-up or anything like that. It was very much an assisted win, and it acted as a spoiler to make sure that Kenny was back down on Ibushi's point level so that they could have that match deciding on the final night who would go through to the finals. And
back to your note about Yano, I want to say real quick, it would be a crime if he doesn't get a little title shot, even on a road 2. Even on a road 2, he doesn't need to be on pay-per-view, but on a road to destruction, I want to see Yano get a title match against Kenny. He can beat him in 3 minutes or whatever, I don't care, but it would be a crime.
Well, the thing is, Kenny Omega does really good comedy stuff too, so they can put on this match itself was very fun.
Right.
It was just a very fun match up until the interference as well. So, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing it happen. I just don't think it will because no one's going to buy that Yano could win a title match against Kenny Omega. So then we got Tetsuya Naito versus Sonata, LIJ versus LIJ.
Yeah. Well, the match itself, decent match. Probably my match of that night. Like you said, if Ishii Robinson maybe was a little bit later in the night, they probably could have stole it. But I'm going to say this just fantastic. Naito picking up a good win, but the story of the night wasn't in the match. It was post-match, and it hit me in the feels. When they brought out Hiromu's jacket, Hiromu's jacket, and put the fist up to Hiromu, and then later in the night, Hiromu posted on Twitter or Instagram a picture from his hotel bed, fisting to the TV when they did it. It broke my heart watching that because Hiromu should be there with him. It sucks that we're not going to see Hiromu for at least another 12 months. He's that glue that held LIJ together for the last couple of months, and it just sucks that he wasn't there. But that little piece with Naito and the jacket at the end and Evil and that it was a nice little moment, and well played by New Japan to tug at the heartstrings.
Yeah, definitely. But we are going to see him. It could be worse, right? We could be not seeing him again ever, but we're going to see him in 12 months or so, and that's fantastic. I'm happy for that. Maybe he manages to make a recovery and come back in time for the Best of the Super Juniors next year. Who knows? Would be good to see that happen. Now, I thought that this match actually didn't click as well as I wanted it to. Like you said, the post-match was brilliant, but I wanted the match to be better than it was, and I actually did think that Tomohiro Ishii and Juice Robinson stole the show overall. But I think that it could have even been an issue of this is night 16 of the tournament. They've been wrestling for 16 nights straight. There were just a few timing issues, one of which Kevin Kelly covered for perfectly, saying, he hesitated there because he wasn't sure if he was going for this or going for that, right? So Kevin Kelly, brilliant commentator, really good at selling what's happening in the ring, and he picked up on the mistake and picked up that it was very obvious a timing issue and managed to sell it to the people listening at home. But there were just a few of those, a few timing issues and a few power issues where he didn't quite get him up or whatever. Sonata, I can't remember exactly what move it was, but there was some power issues where they didn't quite get all of the move that they wanted to, and I think these guys might be tired, which is understandable.
Right, yeah.
but it was a good match. Don't get me wrong. It was not bad under any stretch of the imagination. It was a really good match, but there were just a few things that didn't click for me.
And we should say that by the end of that show, with Nato and Kenny losing, with Coda and Kenny both losing, and Nato winning, it kept Nato in the hunt for Saturday night, which we all knew that stuff was going to happen.
I thought that Sonata was going to act as the spoiler for Naito, and we were going to go into night 18 with just the two of them in contention. But yeah, it kept Naito alive. Then we get to the final night of A block action: Togi Makabe versus Michael Elgin. It was a better match than I expected from these two.
So, right, before we hit onto this Makabe Elgin match, can I just make one little note about a little pre-show match from this night? I have to say, one of the funniest moments of the tournament for me was the Bullet Club Elite versus Bullet Club Elite 6-man match. It was with Chase, Marty, and Coda versus Kenny, Matt, and Nick. Oh my god, that was some comedy gold. Like, they played that so bloody well.
It's even better having watched Being the Elite this morning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so for those who haven't seen it, basically they went 5 minutes without touching each other.
Yeah. 5 minutes and 20 seconds without a single touch. Fantastic.
Yeah, not a single person got a single piece of contact on the other. And then on Being the Elite, we saw them backstage being like, what the hell? Why are we against each other? I don't want to fight my friends. And they came up with a plan to carefully choreograph everything and never touch. And it was just a real riff on, what pro wrestling is. And these guys are so funny. Like, they get it, man. They get comedy. I loved every part of it. It was so good. And this match was fantastic. And ultimately, they got attacked by the firing squad. And I think it was after this that we got the edict heading into the final night, right? Where if the firing squad attack or interfere in any of the matches, then they will be fired. Or no, they will be suspended or fined. Yeah. 3
months, yeah. Right. Yeah. And just a little note, I don't know if anyone else has picked it up, if anyone listens to this. I think a lot of questions were raised after the G1 San Francisco special about, like, what the actual title is for Bullet Clubs and firing squads and that. But as of now, from what Kevin Kelly has stated through the tournament, it's like New World Order from back in the 90s. There is Bullet Club OG and Bullet Club Elite. So there are 2 Bullet Clubs now. And I think that's the unofficial/official note for Bullet Club now, that there's 2 Bullet Clubs.
Yeah, well, I will still be calling them Firing Squad because A, I bought the shirt, and B, there is no way I'm calling Taiji Ishimori a BCOG.
Right. So exactly. So
I mean, he's been in the BC for a whole cup of coffee. So
right, but he is Tama's boy. Like, he's Tama's little boy. So Tama's the OG, so he comes in via Tama. So I don't know, but yeah. So just wanted to say that there is such thing as Bullet Club OG and Bullet Club Elite. It's not like we're just saying random Bullet Club names. It is actually a thing that New Japan are calling. So
yeah, but I rebel against the system just like the Firing Squad do, and I call them the Firing Squad because that's what they are to me. So,
fair enough. All right, well, let's get back into Togi and Elgin. Sorry,
because I've said throughout the tournament, Elgin is kind of like a mirror, right? And whoever he's in there against, and Makabe has had some of the most boring matches of the tournament, right? Which isn't to say it's bad, but some of the matches are like, if you're going to skip a match, you skip a Makabe match. And this one was actually quite a good match. And I think it was Elgin. I think Elgin is better than I give him credit for sometimes.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I actually picked Makabe to win this match, and I'm glad he did with the
King Kong knee drop for the win.
King Kong knee drop, yeah. And then
which again, just New Japan protecting moves. They do it better than anyone else in the business. The way they book their matches. The finishes are finishes. You know when a finisher hits that it's gonna be the end of the match. I love that about pro wrestling. You know.
So do I.
Like, I wish that when John Cena hit the attitude adjustment, I knew that the match was finishing. But he could hit it 6 times in a match. That bugs me.
I don't mind if you use it 2 or 3 times within the space of maybe like a minute or two to really put that nail in the coffin and like in an exciting 30-man match, like I know Okada uses a Rainmaker a couple of times towards the end of the match. Like it's not like he hits a Rainmaker and that's it.
Or Hiroshi Tanahashi does the high fly flow as well,
right?
Multiple times. But when they do it, like when Okada has hit the Rainmaker 4 or 5 times in a match, some of them are not a full Rainmaker, or some of them are the little spin around Rainmaker. Right. And also sometimes it's that they hit the move out of desperation and then they're down and the opponent is down. Right. But if you get a finisher into a pin with New Japan, if you get the finisher and then the pin straight away, it's always the end.
Right, exactly right. All right, okay.
And I love that.
Exactly. Let's jump into the next match, which is Yoshihashi and Hangman Page. And Yoshihashi picked up the victory in a decent
upset victory to me.
Yeah, upset, yeah. Yoshihashi was actually very entertaining through the tournament. We'll get into our awards later, but I really enjoyed Yoshihashi towards the end of this tournament. He was coming into his own by the end of it.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed Yoshihashi more than I ever have towards the end of this tournament. Towards the beginning, I was still, it's Yoshihashi. But towards the end, some of his performances, especially against Okada, I think, and maybe Suzuki, were really good performances. And this one as well, Hangman Page. Hangman Page had some of the best matches of the tournament as well. So this was a really good performance from both of them. I thought that with Hangman Page having the book, I thought that he was going to win. But Yoshihashi picks up the victory.
But then, hang on. But don't forget that by last week, he was made to give the book back to Kenny.
Did he give it back?
Yeah, because Yujiro said, just give him the fucking book back.
Yeah, I know Yujiro told him to, but I don't remember him actually doing it. Well, if he gave the book back, then that's obviously why this happened.
Exactly.
He really needs to get that book back.
And he needs Joey Janela out of his head. He needs to get Joey Janela out of his head.
He needs to get the boots out of his head is what he needs to get out of his head. Those boots. Oh, man. If anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, his boots were having a conversation with him on Being the Elite. You got to watch Being the Elite to understand half of our jokes. Yeah. All right, moving on. Minoru Suzuki versus Bad Luck Fale. Fuck him.
Yep, fuck him. Perfect person to do a fucking match against and also the wrong person to do it against because if Fale wants to create an enemy out of Suzuki, then good luck to him because Suzuki will win that war.
Yeah, I did like Tangaloa trying to get involved, but El Desperado stopped him. Yeah, that made me happy. Gotch style pile driver got blocked by interference from Tama Tonga though. So there's always someone to interfere and hit him with a gun stun. So it was a DQ, another DQ, just thrown away. Yeah. Interesting note: Kevin Kelly did point out that he threw away 12 points that he normally averages 12 points, and in this tournament he threw away 12 points because he never got pinned, he never got submitted. Right. So when you actually look at the story on the whole, in terms of that, like he's choosing when he wants to win, he's choosing when he doesn't want to play the game at all, and that's the only options for Bad Luck Fale. He either wins or he doesn't play because he doesn't feel like it, but there's no way he loses. That's a strong story. That's a strong character. Right, so
I like that.
In hindsight, even though it's frustrating seeing it happen every night for those of us that are watching it every night, in hindsight, the story that's being told is actually pretty solid.
Yeah, right. And should note that Minoru finishes the tournament on 10 points, which, it's a decent end to the tournament.
Yeah, definitely. Then we had Jay White versus Evil.
Yeah.
Another good match.
Yeah, upset.
Yeah, Evil got the win. It's a shame to see Jay White's path to victory completely closed out. I wanted him to win this so that the last match had really, really high stakes and so that the draw meant that they wouldn't, so that Tanahashi would have to go for an actual win.
Yeah.
But obviously that's not how it played out. Jay White lost. Path to victory closed.
Right. Ends the tournament on 12 points. And then Evil finishes on 10 points. So Jay White finishes third. Suzuki and Evil finish equal fourth, with everybody else in that group finishing on 6 points.
Yeah, I don't think anyone in the tournament got less than 6 points. So
no. So we go into
main
the main
event time.
events. Tanahashi versus Okada. Time and time again.
It's crazy how they keep doing it, to be honest with you.
They are. I'll touch on it a little bit more. I'll touch on Tanahashi's side of things a little bit more as we break down the final night. So, spoiler alert: Tanahashi and Okada go to a 30-minute time limit draw, which gives Tanahashi the A block win. But time and time again, these two. Look, obviously, the commercial side of success is the North American global push that they want. And obviously that comes off the success of Devitt and AJ and Kenny and the Bucks and all those the last couple of years, all the big name Westerner names. However, it is these two plus I guess guys like Nato and Suzuki and that have put New Japan back on the map for the first time in like 15 years. Tanahashi and Okada, their rivalry of the last 3 or 4 years, I want to say Wrestle Kingdom 10 or 11. And I should say Shinsuke Nakamura is part of that crew as well. The rivalry that Tanahashi and Okada have had since Okada's return from excursion from Impact back in the day has been nothing short of phenomenal. And every single match that they had together is match of the year candidate. And they've already had one earlier in the year. I think it was at the New Beginning or something like that. They had a classic, and this is just another example. They just a fantastic match, and just
I gave it an instant B plus. It's one of those. It's amazing how they managed to keep doing it, and the stories that they're telling. It's really a old guard versus new guard, right? Like Kazuchika Okada taking it from Tanahashi, and he took it, and Tanahashi still can't get the win. Right? I know they had a 30-minute time limit on this, but at the end of the day, he didn't get a win. He only got a draw. He only managed to go the distance, which was all he needed to get to the finals. But you could tell it's not all he wanted, because in the final moments, even Kevin Kelly is telling him, "Why are you going up top? Why are you going up top? Just wait it out. Just wait out the clock. You've got 10 seconds left." Right? Kevin Kelly's screaming this on commentary, so Tanahashi could hear him probably, but Tanahashi's getting up there and going for that high-fly flow to try and get the victory. Okada kicks out, and it becomes a draw.
Right.
So the story there being, he doesn't want to just get a draw. He wants to beat this kid. He wants to win, and he still hasn't done it. So there's still another story there.
Right.
Which means we're going to get another one of these. We're going to get another instant B+, instant 5-star, if you want to look at it that way. Probably 8 stars by the time that rolls around. And the way New Japan tells stories, it might not happen for another year.
Right.
It's phenomenal stuff. It really is. And hats off to Tanahashi and Okada for just, going close to stealing the tournament on this night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that rolls us into. And we should say Tanahashi finishes on 15 and Okada finishes on 13 points. So, a nice 15-point score. That is the highest score in the G1 since the 16-man... Sorry, it's a 20-man. Since the 20-man tournament started. So,
well, there you go. So on to night 18, which was the B block finals, the final night of action for the B block. Tama Tonga versus Toriano.
Yeah, fun.
Fuck 'em.
Yeah, move on.
It was fun. I do have a point here, though.
Yeah.
I do have a point here. So at the end of the match, the whole idea was if they interfere in a match, then they're going to get fined, right? The firing squad were going to get fined or suspended if they interfere in a match. They came out during this match, but they got stopped from interfering by all the young boys, by security, by referees, and by Harold May, or Harold Mage. I never know how to say it. Harold May. And they escort them out. And if you watched, there was a video online that they escorted them out and they had a van waiting and they escorted them off the premises. So they didn't get suspended or fined because they didn't technically interfere in the match. They only distracted. They were stopped from interfering, which is kind of silly. If you're going to run an angle where they're going to get suspended if they interfere, let them interfere. Don't stop them from interfering. In kayfabe, it makes no sense.
Right.
but also concerned here that Harold May is getting involved. He's on camera, giving directions. It's a little bit Vince McMahon-y
I think
to have an on-screen authority figure.
Yeah. I think they're going that way, and I don't know if I like it, but anyway.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. If it's just a one-off thing, if it's just for this firing squad, this little feud sort of thing, I think it could be okay. But if it becomes a thing where he's making matches and handing down edicts, because it seems like the whole swearing thing, because remember we reported about they broke the news where they're moving forward, they're going to have a more PG kind of product, right? Similar to WWE. They're going to stop people from swearing in English, stop people from flipping the middle finger, stuff like that. But then straight away, Tama Tonga has a new shirt. All of a sudden it says 0 fucks given. And, Bad Luck Fale is still walking around saying fuck him. And people are still out there saying motherfuck this, motherfuck that.
Right.
And I think that the whole thing, that whole thing is just a work. I don't think they're actually instating these rules. I think that they've just said it to try to get more heat on the firing squad. Right.
Because on Saturday night or Sunday, I can't remember, Tama was actually live on Instagram, and a fan of people were asking me questions like, what's with the swearing thing? He's like, man, they tried this 5 years ago. I don't give a fuck what they try and bring out. They tried to do this before. I'm going to continue to do what I do. Fuck them.
But the rest of the roster are selling it. So I haven't heard Juice Robinson swear since, and he's got a potty mouth, that dude. So,
yeah, true.
But he's a face, and so he will go along with what the company say, right? So it could work that it's just a matter of just them getting heat, and the firing squad are going to continue doing the firing squad things, and then it'll all blow over. I don't know. I'm cautious of this, the whole Harold May thing. I'm cautious.
Yeah.
Moving on, we had Hiroki Goto versus Juice Robinson, and Juice finally gets a win against Goto.
Yeah, which is nice. Yeah, no, it was a fun match. Not too much more to say about it, but no, it was a good match.
Similar to Juice and Ishii, I feel like these guys could have gone bigger, and they didn't because of the spot that they're in, which I have to say, that's kind of the story of Juice Robinson's career at this point, right? Because when he was in NXT, he went out and he played his role. His role was as that gatekeeper guy, and he got sick of playing that role because he's like, I'm the best and I can be the best. And so he went elsewhere. And now he's kind of, I feel like in New Japan, he's more likely to actually get to be the best, but he is kind of being stuck in a role, at least on these nights. I've noticed it. It just sort of popped into my head. I'm like, he's not going all the way because, he's not the main event and you got to save something, right?
Right.
Do you get that feeling?
Yeah, no, I do.
Because Juice is an absolute star, and this match was fantastic, but Juice, they never kicked it to that next gear up.
Right.
So,
yeah,
they'll have a title match too, I assume. Juice might try to become a double crown.
Yeah, potentially. I could see them trying that, or he loses the belt to say someone like an Ishii, and then goes for Goto's belt. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we have Ishii against Sonata. Wow. Gosh, it's just how Ishii manages to do match after match after match that's just this good. I don't know.
And on a dead rubber match like this, didn't have any title implications. It didn't have any G1 standing implications or anything like that. They just went for broke.
No, yeah, they're both eliminated. There's nothing on the line here. It's just a match, and they're just fighting for points to see who gets the most points out of the two. Just to me, I just thought it was you could have had a night off, but you didn't.
Exactly right.
Hats off.
No, just phenomenal. Great match. Ishii just finishes off the tournament on 10 points and just had a great tournament.
Right, and then Zack Sabre Jr. against Tetsuya Naito. This match, the storytelling in this match. So the storytelling in this match goes back through the entire tournament because you'll remember that Zack has not managed to hit the Zack driver.
Right.
All tournament. And the story being, if he hits the Zack driver, it's going to be over because that's his new weapon and it's the difference maker. And he hasn't been able to hit it against anyone. He worked on the neck all match and then he hit the Zack driver and he got the win, spoiling Tetsuya Naito's chances.
Yeah, because going into this
I
night...
loved this match.
So did I, because going into the night, I thought, okay, Naito's going to beat Zack Sabre here, and then so he'll go on 14 points, and then I thought maybe something was going to happen with Kota and Kenny, and Naito was going to do a sneaky come from behind victory on the B block, and I thought, oh, hang on, because as of the other night, I was like, nah, I don't think Nato's going to win. And yeah, so I thought, nah, there's no chance that Nato's losing to Zack Sabre, but he did, and Zack Sabre just was on fire in this match, and Zack Sabre and Naito both finished on 12 points, which, Zack Sabre finishing on 12 points is fantastic, because that means his only loss was against Kenny, and who's the other one that he lost to?
Sonata.
Yeah, Sonata. Sorry, Sonata. So, yeah, I mean, and, Sonata could have been another win for him. So, look, Zack Sabre's...
Yeah, he actually, in hindsight, he had a stellar tournament, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, nothing specifically stood out necessarily, except for me, the Sonata match stood out a lot. But, it was a really good tournament. And then we move on to the final, which it all came down to this match. The winner of this match was going to the finals. Kenny Omega versus Kota Ibushi. I had Kenny. You had Kota. Just like I had Shazza. And you had Madison. I'm losing all the bets here.
I know.
Kota Ibushi gets the win and goes forward. There was nothing on the line here, but Kota Ibushi goes through.
If anyone wants to listen back to the first G1 podcast, I called a Kota and Tanahashi final. I called Omega and Tanahashi, right?
Yeah. So we need to do a bit with you reading the book and having the classes. And it's that racing book, how to pick a winner for people who like to gamble on horse races.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
We could do our own Being the Elite skit. Man.
But yeah, no, look, what a fantastic match.
I actually think that this is one of those, we're going to say that the little trope that we have for the G1, on any other night, this would be a match of the night. But I actually thought that Zack Sabre Jr. and Tetsuya Naito stole the show on this one. I thought that they had a better match, to be honest with you.
No, I guess, like you said, I guess the better match is there, but I guess the story in Kota and Kenny, New Japan.
The emotion, was heavy.
Yeah. Pulling out the heartstrings and that sort of stuff. But yeah, look, well done for Kota. Going into his...
You would think going in that these two, being golden lovers as they are, you would think going in they would be hesitant to hurt each other and they would wrestle more.
Yeah.
But they went for broke, man.
I guess they
went for broke. Like, wasn't Kenny trying to hit a one-winged angel from the top? Like,
right.
Holy crap.
Exactly. I guess it's...
that'll kill a man.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of like, you're wrestling your best friend. Like, you see, like, sick matches of WWE in the past, like Brett versus Owen or Matt versus Jeff. Like, your brothers, and like you wrestle so much. But imagine how much joy they would have wrestling each other in that ring, because they are like legit best friends, and the joy that they would have in wrestling them. So, but just great story. But let's move into the last night, because there's a couple of things to talk about in the last night.
Right. I was so surprised. So I thought going into the G1 finals, it's pretty much going to be a one-match show.
Right.
Right? It's all about Tanahashi versus Ibushi. But there were actually quite a few things to talk about. So I'll let you lead the way.
Yeah, so let's just go on with some of the card. Started with a quick little opening tag featuring some young lions with Honma. He made his return the night before, I should say. But they showcased it a little bit more here with tagging with Makabe.
That's something we should talk about from the undercard the night before, actually.
Yeah.
Honma in his return match and having a good old cry at the end. And that tugged at the heartstrings too.
Yeah, exactly. And was able to put on a little bit more of a show on the G1 final night. So, just... another nice little young Lions match with and love. Oh, it's always nice to see Nagata.
Yes, it is. Yuji Nagata is one of my favorites from that era, so definitely. Then Bad Luck Fale defeats Toa Hanare.
Yeah, quick.
A bit of a throwaway.
Yeah, quick little squash. Kiwi versus the Tongan Just
once again showing that story, as I said, that when he wants to, he wins, and when he doesn't want to, he just doesn't play.
correct. And then,
I actually like it.
yeah. Then we had a tag match between Suzuki Gun's Tai Chi and Takashi Iizuka, the crazy bastard. They both made their return to New Japan after a few weeks. It's nice to see them back on screen. And they got the win over Goto and Yoshihashi, which, it's still technically G1 tournament time, and I thought the G1 members of the G1 tournament always looked good, even up until the last day. But yeah, they got pinned, and yeah, no, it was good. It was actually really fun.
It was a bit of an upset for Taichi.
Yeah, right. And
then we had Cody and Hangman Page defeating Juice Robinson and David Finlay, Finn Juice.
Right. Mr. Cody Rhodes makes his return to New Japan after a few weeks. It's funny, isn't it? The tournament goes for 5 weeks, and you're used to the same 20 people and maybe the other 10 to 12 C block add-ons for the tag matches, like the David Finlays and that. So when you see someone like Cody back on a New Japan card, you're like, oh, that's exciting. But it's like, it's only been gone for like 7 weeks, but it's exciting to see his name back on there. But
well, he's been off filming as well, so he hasn't been doing many shows. He did like one Ring of Honor show in that time.
Right.
And I guess he was on taping, so if you're watching Ring of Honor TV, he's been there. But yeah, he's been AWOL from wrestling in general because he's been filming for Arrow.
And just a little note on that. So Cody did cut a promo on Juice after the match, with Juice's title over his shoulder.
Interesting stuff.
So maybe you get Cody versus Juice at Wrestle Kingdom, maybe for the US title. I'd like to see that.
I don't think that's going to wait till Wrestle Kingdom. I think they're going to do that soon.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to be the next challenger. The announcers put that over. They said, Cody, could he be the next challenger? Because he got the pin, and he straight away after getting the pin, he was like, I want this title. Like, this would look good on me. I want this. Yeah. He's coming for it. And I think this is interesting. Freshly face Cody against Juice Robinson. Will he play a heel still in that? Like, it's curious to see how they go with Cody versus Juice. I think it'll be a really good match, a really entertaining affair. And I would like to see Cody get the title, but I don't want Juice to lose it yet.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm interested. I'm interested to see where it goes.
Yeah. And then
we had... This one was strange. So, Tama Tonga, Tangaloa, and Taiji Ishimori are set for a match against Marty Scurll and the Young Bucks, who are, of course, the Never Openweight 6-man tag team champions. Before the match, they sort of say, hey, why don't you put the titles on the line?
Yeah.
And they agree to it. And Harold May, who's at ringside, again, Harold May having a decision, having a say here. I'm cautious about this. I don't like the way it's going. But he was like, yeah, okay, go ahead, put it on the line. And it becomes a title match. When these are guys that were supposedly in trouble. They're supposedly at risk of suspension, but you're going to give them a title match?
Right.
Like, if you're going to be an authority figure, at least make sense.
Yeah. I guess New Japan are working out how to do the authority figure thing. But, the ending was strange. So spoiler alert, the tag titles changed hands, and the firing squad...
Clean.
Yeah, clean. And the OGs / firing squad, whatever you want to call it, are the new six-man never champions. But they
won clean as well. That's important to note because, as I said, when they want to win, they win. When they don't want to win, they just don't play.
Right, exactly. And then
because they won clean.
But then the little weird twist at the end where they just threw down the belts after the match and left without them, and then the Bucks and Skull left with the titles. They just lost. So it's like
so they threw the titles at Harold May, and then they're talking on the camera. Tama Tonga does his whole talking to the camera as they walk away thing, which I actually really like. Like the music's playing and his voice, like he's a very charismatic man, and so he's cutting his little promo there as they leave, and he's just like, just to show you that we can, just to show you what we do.
Yeah,
I like the way it's headed now. I don't like the authority involvement, but I do like the way it's headed now. It was just a bit tedious throughout the G1.
Right, exactly.
We're in agreement there. Yeah. Like, it looks good now. It looked good to begin with, and then it got a bit tedious throughout the G1, but now it looks good again.
Exactly. Which, I guess they will tackle at Destruction in a couple of weeks once everything with All In is done. But then we move into the 8-man tag between LIJ and Suzuki Gun. The Suzuki Gun was represented by Suzuki Kanemaru, who made his return after a couple of, probably about 8 weeks since I've seen Kanemaru. El Desperado and Zack Sabre Jr. Against all 4 healthy members of LIJ. So no, it was a fun match. Just crazy brawl, typical stable warfare within New Japan.
With LIJ getting the win.
Absolutely. Then we had Chaos represented with Jay White's Chaos. Maybe Chaos are going to do that. Maybe it's going to be Chaos. There's going to be 2 Chaoses, let's say. But
I called it, didn't I? I said that, remember?
Yeah.
I told you that I think that Jay White's going to challenge for the leadership, and there's going to be a bit of a split there.
2 Bullet Clubs, 2 Chaoses, why not? So this is represented by Ishii, Yano, and Jay White as they faced off against Kenny, Yujiro Takahashi, and Chase Owens of Bullet Club Elite. And Chaos got the victory.
Yeah, Jay White's way of running Chaos is a winning way. Yeah. And interesting stuff.
Yeah, and an interesting part where Ishii actually had Omega's title after the match and issued a challenge. Omega asked the crowd if they wanted it, and they cheered. So I guess we're getting Omega's first title defense on the road to Kingdom against his...
I think that'll be at Destruction.
So that'll be a very fun match because it was close to being one of the matches of the tournament, Ishii and Omega. So we'll see. Number 2.
I thought that they'd save it for Kings of Pro Wrestling?
Yeah.
I thought that they'd save it for Kings of Pro Wrestling, but it definitely looked like a more immediate challenge. But I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see how it plays out. Yeah. And then this match, surprisingly good for me. So Rey Mysterio Jr. for a trios match is his second time in... It's his second time in New Japan, and it's another trios match, which a lot of people are upset about. Like, why isn't he having one-on-one matches? I don't care. I think it's fun. Yeah. I like Rey Mysterio in this role. And he comes out, it's Rey Mysterio, Kushida, and pro wrestler Sengoku Enbu, who bears a striking resemblance to Raisuke Taguchi.
He sure did.
It's uncanny. Same hip attacks and everything.
It was funny. When I went to go Google a little bit of Sengoku Enbu, it's a video game character I didn't really understand too much.
Yeah, from a Japanese card deck building game. So if you're familiar with like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or for Western Magic the Gathering, where you build a deck of cards and battle each other. Same kind of thing. It's a character from one of those games.
Yeah, and note that New Japan is owned by Bushiroad, which is a board game company. So, So
we'll get a lot of things like this in the future, hopefully.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun watching this match.
But I went to go Google it.
Took on Yosho and Okada.
Right. I went to go write in Google pro wrestler Sengoku Enbu, and it was like one of the most top Googled things. So everyone must have been Googling what the hell Sengoku Enbu was on the same night.
I Googled it.
Yeah. But they faced off against Okada's Chaos, Okada, Sho, and Yo.
And they lost.
Yeah. With
You know what's really interesting? I really liked the 619 spot until Okada spoiled it. Which bummed me out. I wanted to see him hit the 619, but whatever. Pro wrestler Sengoku Enbu, though, just quickly, some of the best lines of the night on commentary from Rocky Romero saying things about... which, by the way, the third guy who joined for some of the last nights on commentary, he's the author of Eggshells, I think it's called, the history of wrestling in the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, Chris something.
He did a real good job as well.
Chris Crawford, or
I can't remember the name. I feel really bad that I didn't write it down, but he did a really, really good job. He's big in the New Japan fan community. Like, I've seen his stuff before. I want to get the book. I can't believe I'm forgetting your name, man. But it's Chris. It is definitely Chris, and he's a British gentleman, and he did a fantastic job on commentary as well. Right. But I thought it was fun. I think it was Rocky Romero said, how convenient that his parents called him pro wrestler for his first name because he would grow up to become. I was sitting there just chuckling away. I had a lot of fun watching this match.
Yeah. No, it was fun, and Ray got to hit the 619 on Yo, which is nice to see because obviously the last match Ray didn't get to win the match with the 619 because Cody picked up the win on, was it Liga the last time he was in the 6-man? Yeah. So
it was.
So it was nice to see Ray get a win, and there's still rumors of Ray coming back to WWE, and there's Ray.
Yes, this might be the last time we see him in New Japan for
right.
a while. So.
I mean, he does have the All In appearance in a couple of weeks, and then that could be the end of his Indie/New Japan.
And interestingly enough, his All-In appearance is also a 6-man tag. So, he knows how to keep his stock high.
Yeah.
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Then we move on to the finals. The reason we're all here, Kota Ibushi, Hiroshi Tanahashi. This match, it's one of those matches I mentioned earlier in the tournament when Ibushi gets into that mode where he snaps.
Yeah.
When he gets into that mode, when he snaps, he never has less than a B+ match for me. Ever. When he gets into that mode, it's like Super Kota. And I didn't think Hiroshi Tanahashi was going to be able to overcome Super Kota when he came out. But he did.
Yep. And look, I want to bring up a little something. There's a lot of people online that, I know Kota is the... No, I'm not going to say the flavor of the month because that's silly. I don't want to say it like that. I know Kota is the fan favorite, especially
for Western fans and for the new guard of fans.
Yeah. And a lot of people, like we joke about it. I've joked about it on the G1 podcast where we call him Cena Hashi, and he always, he doesn't know how to step out of the limelight and whatnot. You've got to remember a couple of things. Tanahashi hasn't been in the main event scene for nearly 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
He hasn't had a world title for a couple of years. He's had the Never title, Never 6-man, IC, and all that sort of stuff. He's New Japan, and I've said this through the podcast, and I stand by my belief, what I believe New Japan do. New Japan would never, ever, ever give a Wrestle Kingdom's main event spot to someone who hasn't signed a full-time contract. Chris Jericho won't even get it. He's not going to get a main event. He'll get a co-main event or a whatever, but he won't have a main. New Japan will not give. They're not WWE.
They're not going to headline the Dome with a part-time.
No, exactly. And I love Kota to death. And if he signs that contract for New Japan to become a full-time wrestler, then go broke on him and give him like freaking 1,000 title runs because he is one of the most talented men in that company. But he's not going to do it. So that's not going to happen. Everyone wanted Kota and Kenny again. We're going to get Kota and Kenny again. They'll probably have Kota's got the victory over Kenny, so Kota does get another title shot.
That'll probably be the Kings of Pro Wrestling.
Exactly. So that's going to happen, which then Kings of Pro Wrestling usually sets up the thing. Then we get Kenny versus Tanahashi. So I keep calling it, it's the first time ever. I keep forgetting that they had an IC title match back in the day where Tanahashi dropped the title to Kenny. I think it was 2012 or 2013, but Kenny got the IC title off Tanahashi. But it was only once, and it's what they call the most protected matchup in New Japan. They haven't had that major one-on-one. So, Kenny versus Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom as a Tokyo Dome headline is all but sweet for me. And the last but not least, despite what anyone thinks, legacy is the most important thing. One of the most important things in wrestling. Tanahashi is, spoiler alert, I'm very close to releasing my top 50 Japanese talent of all time list. And spoiler alert, I've got Tanahashi in my top 10 of all time. He's building himself a case to be in the top 5 of all time.
Right.
He's getting into that Great Muda, Misawa, Inoki's legend status. And that's important in Japan.
Right. He was there through the dark times, and he brought them back. He helped one of the key reasons they came back to the
right.
light.
Him, the three, I call them the 3 pillars of Tanahashi, Okada, and Nakamura. They're the 3 that brought New Japan back to life. And Shinsuke's got his beautiful WWE contract. Sure, he's not, sure he's not winning as much titles as we thought or whatever. But, he's got his nice, juicy WWE contract. Okada's had probably the best 3 years that a pro wrestler could have in the world. Tanahashi hasn't had that great 3 years. Like he's still on top of it. He's still the king in Japan. He's still I know that report came out that Naito was probably the most popular or whatever.
Most popular.
But Tanahashi has that connection. So if I keep joking about Cena-Hashi, no one boos Tanahashi. No one will ever boo Tanahashi.
No.
He is.
No, Tanahashi is the true ace.
True, he is. And so if this happens to be, it might not be because, he's still got a few years left on him. It might not be his last Tokyo Dome headline, but if it is, and he passes the torch to Kenny or whatever.
I think this is his last headline at the Dome.
Yeah.
But he'll still be
yeah.
around.
Yeah.
But
don't go being so negative and Tanahashi going back to the Dome headline because, it's been a few years since he headlined. So given that Okada's had at least 3 or 4 years headline, give Tanahashi that. He hasn't been in the main event spotlight for a while. He deserves that. And I don't know.
I think, absolutely. There's no question about whether he deserves it or not. He's one of these guys that can go to the main event at any point. He constantly puts on really, really, really good matches. He's not ever... Again, he's one of those guys that has good to great matches. His storytelling is second to almost none in the industry.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the thing that's really good about this match coming up. So there's not much to say about the match itself, the Kota Ibushi versus Tanahashi match, other than it was a fantastic match. They had some great callback spots to previous matches they've had, like their last one at the G1 with the knees up. And again, it was an Ibushi snapped and went, when he got that slap in the face and he hulked up, and then Tanahashi hulked up as well. He looked ready to kill a man, and it was a really good, intense match. You got to watch it. He hits the high fly flows. He gets the win. But the match it's set up against Kenny Omega is fantastic for a number of reasons. It's protected, as you said. Kota Ibushi represents, as you said, the new guard of fans, right? The new guard of fans and the new school of fans like that kind of wrestling, that bumps on your neck, lots of high spots, lots of fast paced, and the older school fans like the slower, more methodical storytelling that you get with a Tanahashi, that you get with a Okada does it too, but Okada can do both. But he's probably more in the old school camp than anything. But Tanahashi is exemplary of that style, right? Of telling a story the old school way.
Right.
And Kenny Omega, more so than Kota Ibushi, is exemplar of that new school of, this is wrestling. We don't need to pretend it's real. We don't need to, we tell stories, yes. And this new school with, the Young Bucks, with, as you said, Will Ospreay and all them that get flack from some people. It's a new way of doing things, but it's still telling stories. It's just a new way of telling the stories, and it sort of it changes things from the old way, right? It's not the same.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it's true.
And Kenny Omega is way more exemplary of that style than Kota Ibushi even is. So to have this as the Wrestle Kingdom main event, to me, is like, whereas Okada and Tanahashi is the new guy coming in to take the old guy's spot, right? This is the new style coming in to replace the old style. And I do think we see a passing of the torch. I think that they know things that we don't know. Obviously, they know things we don't know. I think that Kenny Omega has said to them explicitly, I don't ever want to go to WWE.
Right.
I may be wrong.
Yeah.
I may be completely wrong. But I mean, Kenny Omega's been there, right? Like, he was in Deep South. Was it Deep South? That he was in? Yeah. He was in one of their development territories, and he left of his own accord. He wasn't released, I don't think. I'm pretty sure he left of his own accord to go to Japan. He loves Japan. He lives in Japan. He's not a gaijin. And I can see him becoming the new ace.
Yeah.
I really
absolutely.
can. Especially with the Western push. And being that, like I said, the story they tell, I imagine they're going to tell this story of that new style replacing the old style and what that means for the company, for everything, for everyone. It's really exciting. And I thought that they were going to do it as the finals for the G1, but that wouldn't have given them time to set up the story that I'm talking about here. So after the finals, when Kenny Omega didn't go through and when it became Tanahashi and Kota Ibushi and this match went the way it did with Tanahashi winning, I sat down and I thought about the story possibilities and I was like, I'm glad that I was wrong.
Yeah.
Because this is way better than what I had in mind. What I had in mind was great because Kota Ibushi versus Kenny Omega headlining the Dome would be fantastic too. Like, that's a brilliant story to tell as well. But this story is so much more emblematic of everything that's going on in the wider pro wrestling world with Kenny, with All In, right, being that new thing that's like these guys are doing things in a new way, not just in the ring, but in the business. It's exemplary of everything that's going on in the wider wrestling world, and it's just such a great story to tell. So I'm really excited for the future.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was a bit of a rant.
No,
but...
but it's true. Yeah, what a fantastic tournament.
It was. Would you put? I think there's already talk online of it being one of the best G1s ever. Now, we may have recency bias because we've just watched it, and we also may have the bias of the fact that it's the first time it's been in English, which has been very helpful.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it's possibly up there.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And
we know I'm a new fan, so I can't say too much. I've only watched probably the highlights from the last 4 G1s. Yeah. So,
and I know you're not a fan of this man too oftenly, but I was listening to reading Meltzer the other day, and I thought, and he was on the fence about whether last year or this year was one of the best, and despite all the angst that people give Meltzer, he is a New Japan expert, so I trust him on New Japan and his Japanese history.
I just don't like his star rating system.
Enough.
That's it. That's the only thing I don't like. Because he set himself up for failure. He set himself up for failure back in the 80s when he started giving things star ratings, because at some point in any industry, things are going to get better, right? Like if you were giving computers star ratings, if you're like, oh, yeah, the Apple One is a 5-star computer, then of course, when the Mac Pro comes out, you're going to have to create more stars because, things get better over time. And pro wrestling is no different, and it has gotten better over time. And the wrestling we're seeing now on every level is better than the wrestling was in the 80s. Some people will be upset at me saying that, but it's, in my opinion, it's the truth. Yeah. And so, of course, the star rating system was always set to fail. Right. Always. Right.
But like when it comes to his knowledge of history, he's probably the number one.
Or even how the industry works. I don't hate Meltzer. No. I just got to get that out there.
Because people might hate me for this, but I'm a Meltzer marker and I'm proud of it. I don't care. I'm a Japanese fan and I'm a historian, and the two things that Meltzer knows the best is Japanese wrestling and history. And so I follow him. I don't follow him for the star matches. Yes, I use it as a guide for myself, but I don't. It's not my guide. There are some matches that I think, like Robbie and Will, both 1 and 2 from PWA, deserve to be a 5-star match in my opinion. But obviously, he's never going to see that. And
like as a fan, you know what you like.
Exactly.
You can give matches your own.
But anyway,
I
the point of what I was.
But anyway,
the point of what I was talking about Meltzer was he was, and I really agreed with what he was saying. He's not 100% sure whether it was last year or this year for the best G1 tournament ever. But he said in terms of B block, that was the best block matches for a tournament that he's seen. So I think I agree with that.
Oh, B block blew things up. B block was incredible. There was not a bad night of action from B block. Now, let's go into giving our awards. We'll make this a nice little quick little thing. Let's just award some people some accolades for the G1. So these are the B+ G1 awards. I wish we had a jingle. We don't.
Yeah.
MVP of A block. Who would you pick?
Tanahashi is the MVP. I know that's a cop out because
Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yeah,
No,
Hiroshi.
I gave Tanahashi the MVP from Block A as well.
because I know there's a cop out because he won, but he won 8 matches straight. So he lost the first match against Jay White, and he didn't lose a match since. So,
And again, all of his matches were good to great.
right. And a little, I forgot to mention this. Sorry, a little note. So Tanahashi has one loss in the tournament, and that was to Jay White. So that gives Jay White the ability to challenge Tanahashi for his contract. Jay White has a chance to challenge Tanahashi between now and Wrestle Kingdom for the contract. You always have to have to defend it, and you defend it against somebody that you lost to in the tournament. So there's every chance. They've never done it. They've never.
Right. So I don't think Jay White. Yeah, I don't think Jay White's going to beat him. But it'll be.
There is a little, if anyone's unhappy with Tanahashi going to the Kingdom, there's a little glimmer of hope that Jay White might, but it's not going to happen. But just thought I'd drop that in.
No, but yeah, absolutely. But definitely, as far as I can see, I mean, anyone who's upset about Tanahashi going just doesn't understand the significance of Tanahashi.
Right. But yeah, no.
And to which I say, go back and watch some more.
Yeah.
Spend some time. We get to know it because, he definitely deserves to be there.
Yeah, but Tanahashi was my MVP for Block A.
Absolutely. What about Block B, MVP?
I'm going to go with Kenny. I know Kurt won the block, but Kenny was the MVP. He was just... because I'm going to give names for the other awards, so I'm going to give Kenny the MVP because even though there's a couple of matches that he lost towards the end there but God, he looked good in that tournament. Like at the start, right. He went 7 straight, did he? I think 6 straight, was it?
7
straight, yeah. So yeah. He was on fire, and he just looked so good in every match. And
I had a tough call with Block B picking an MVP, and it came down to Kenny Omega and Tomohiro Ishii. I went with Ishii. I think he had amazing matches with everyone. He never took a night off. I don't think Kenny did either, but just for me, I think that the MVP, the most entertaining man in Block B, well, most entertaining, you could throw Toru Yano into the mix as well, but Ishii, for me, was definitely MVP of B Block.
Absolutely.
I think that in terms of match ratings that I gave, he never got less than a standing O, even in his match with Tama Tonga, whereas Kenny Omega did. Kenny Omega got a sports entertained. So,
right.
I think that, it was definitely Tomohiro Ishii. What about overall MVP? Can you pick between them?
No, because I'm going to go outside the block. I'm thinking outside the square.
Oh, you son of a bitch. If you are doing the exact same thing I was doing, all right, ready? On the count of 3, we'll say it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. The
Rocky.
Announcers.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, you son of a bitch. I was trying to throw the curveball at you, make you pick between them, and then I'm going to go, well, my overall MVP is the announce team. But we had the same idea.
Because
you beautiful bastard.
Because I love New Japan Wrestling, regardless of what the commentary sound is. So whether it's Japanese or English, I can still watch the wrestling and still get by. But having, in my opinion, I know this is going to sound crazy, Rocky Romero is close to being one of the best performer/color commentators I've ever heard. I'm comparing that. I'm comparing that to guys like Jerry the King Lawler and all that sort of guys that came from.
Right.
Not as in the play-by-play guy, because Kevin Kelly, I like Kevin Kelly, I really do, and shout out to him, he was fantastic in this tournament too. I'm not going to compare him to guys like JR and Gorilla Monsoon and that back in the day. But in terms of...
I'll compare him to JR now.
Oh, yeah.
Shit's all over JR now.
But with Rocky, God, I just really enjoyed his color commentary through that tournament. Whether it was...
He was very entertaining.
Whether he was giving that little chaos locker room, little insider things, or he knew so much, and
talking about who blows up the balloons,
right? Exactly, and even their little mate towards the end. I'm sorry, I forget his surname again, But Chris, the British guy, the historian.
So it's Chris Charlton. Yeah. I looked it up while we were talking. So Chris Charlton.
Yeah. So even their little buddy Chris Charlton, the British historian there. My lord, like even he just added something extra for the last couple of days. But no, like seriously, I know we had the same thought, which is funny. The talent did their job, but my lord, that commentary team.
For me, definitely the overall MVP was the commentary team, not just Rocky, but the commentary team. Everyone who was there, because Don Callis was there for the beginning, and Chris Charlton was there for the end, and oh man, another name that I'm forgetting, the translator.
Yeah.
He did a really good job as well, just having them there. And it's always been a thing. It's a kind of a joke amongst wrestling fans. Oh, I like to watch with the Japanese commentary, or I like to watch with the Spanish commentary, right? And yes, the Japanese commentary, the whole thing was the Japanese commentary was so passionate. You can't say Kevin Kelly and Rocky Romero aren't that. In terms of, if you watch Kevin Kelly and Rocky Romero and still say you prefer to watch New Japan in Japanese commentary, and you don't speak Japanese, I think you're an asshole.
Yeah.
I really do. Because these guys do such a phenomenal job. All of their insights, Kevin Kelly has really gotten on top of the product in the last few years. He never you listen to the mistakes that guys, you listen to the mistakes that JR and Josh Barnett make. Kevin Kelly doesn't make those mistakes. You can tell Kevin Kelly's doing his job. He's researching. He's spending, when he's not there doing the job, he's reading and preparing and getting ready for the job. And he does such a fantastic job with this commentary, and Rocky Romero as well. And they were passionate. They were getting excited. They were getting into it. And I mean, look, come end of year, if we do end of year awards, I don't see myself giving announcer of the year to anyone but Kevin Kelly.
Oh, absolutely. Because even through the Best of the Super Juniors, like Rocky wasn't on a commentary through there, but he had guys like Chris Sabin one night, and I can't remember, there was a couple of nights with, I think, Trent Beretta or Chuck or whatever. There was a couple of nights with different talent, and everyone just had great. Yeah,
Chase did a really good job on guest commentary too.
He just had good. He has good chemistry with the talent.
But he has great chemistry with Rocky. Those two are. They are honestly. I'll say it. They're a JR and King level team chemistry wise. They're fantastic together.
And I think I said it.
I hope they become a full time New Japan team.
Like I think I said to you the other on the last podcast. I'm not sure where Rocky's career is at. Like he's been around the blocks for a long time. He's, you got what's his name in WWE, Nigel McGuinness on commentary now. And Rocky and Nigel probably were in Ring of Honor around the same time as talent. So, they're probably around the same sort of age gap. And he's probably...
Yeah, and Rocky's training people and he's doing stuff in the office now. But
you can also do it like Jerry the King Lawler did in the 90s. You don't have to be completely done. You can have, one or two matches per year here and there. But I'd love them to do a 3-man team. With Kelly, Rocky, and Callis. I reckon there'd be some awesome dynamic between those three.
Absolutely. He can even be the first guy who manages a team from the commentary booth. Right? Like, because he manages Show and Yo. I think there's a lot of things, but I really think that they were stars. Just absolute stars. So big shout out to Kevin Kelly and Rocky Romero especially, but everyone who was involved in that announce booth for these 19 shows, thank you. Just thank you for making it easier for us and making it more accessible for everyone. And we're glad that you're listening, not necessarily to this show, but to the fans. And we're glad that New Japan is taking this all on board and moving forward. It's really, really good stuff. Breakout star, A Block.
I'm going to have to go with Jay White because I know Paige. This was Paige's first time, and this is Jay White's first G1 too. So we've got to think about that. Jay White is just... I know he's already had the title and he's already had a great 12 months, but that was his first G1. So for me, I'm going to call that the breakout because he was on another level in that tournament. Apart from that last match against Evil, he had a...
Look, I went with Hangman Page because I was looking purely at the match quality. Kayfabe-wise, I think you're 100% right. Jay White is the breakout, but in terms of the match quality for me, the matches I enjoyed watching, yeah, I loved Jay White, but I loved Hangman Page even more.
Fair enough.
Yeah. What about B Block?
It's not breakout. Oh, I can't call it breakout because it's not like it's his first time, but I'm going to have to go with Sonata. I think for me,
Yeah. I don't think breakout has to be first time. I think breakout is just a matter of who impressed you that normally doesn't.
Right. Like, I was thinking about Ishii but Ishii's has had stellar tournaments and matches all his career and that. So, but it's Sonata. Sonata really, well, I don't know. Like at the start of the tournament, I actually said to you, I actually am more of an evil guy than I am Sonata.
Same.
I love both of them. I met both of them back in February, and they're really nice guys. I got a photo with them, and they're really nice guys, and they actually had a really fun match against Robbie and Mick here in Sydney. They're fantastic. But I was always a big Evil guy. I really loved Evil, and I just never really got myself into Sonata. Even when he was in Impact, I never really got onto Sonata. And I know he's a Great Muta guy. Like, he was trained by Great Muta. So, like, I know he's trained well, and I know but God, he had a great tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I went the same. Definitely Sonata. I'm the same as you. I was an evil guy myself, but I'm a big fan of Sonata now. Sonata really won me over in this tournament. All right, so we got to be real quick with this one because we're running out of time. But top 5 matches of the tournament. I'll list off mine quickly. So Ishii versus Kenny.
Is that your number 1 or 5?
No.
Okay.
5. I'm going bottom to top. Naito versus Omega.
Yep.
This is one that's going to throw some people. Sonata versus Toriano.
Okay.
It came at a pivotal time. We needed a break. We needed something to laugh at, and it was such a great match. The tying him up on the barricade with the Paradise Lock. I loved it. B+ all the way. Sonata versus Toriano gets into my top 5. Sonata versus Zack Sabre Jr., because I am heavily biased towards catch as catch can wrestling, and it was just a great wrestling match. And then number 1 for me was Ishii versus Ibushi.
Okay. Brilliant.
So if I recommend just 5 matches, those are the 5 I recommend.
All right. So for me, I got number 5, Goto and Ishii on the 21st of July. Don't ask me what block night that was. I can't remember. Fantastic match.
No. Just list the names of the matches.
Then Kenny Kota. Then Kota Ishii. Then Kenny Ishii. And then for me, my match of the tournament, which people might not a lot of agree with, was Tanahashi Okada from Friday night.
Absolutely. It's up there. I had trouble narrowing it to 5, but and I tried to think outside the box and I recommend ones that not everyone would recommend. But
and I struggled leaving out the final, Tanahashi and Kota, fantastic final. I just struggled to leave that, and also Kenny versus Naito from round 1, also a great match. But
yeah, and some of the ones that you mentioned, Goto and Ishii was one that I struggled to leave out as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of really good matches to watch, especially watch B Block, especially. Yeah. But in fact, I think all of mine are from B Block.
Yeah,
you have a Tanahashi match in there, so you have one A Block match. But that does it for the G1. I think there's one thing I want to talk about before we go. We're running out of time, so we'll make it a little bit quick. But New Japan and Ring of Honor have sold out the G1 Supercard show at Madison Square Garden. 16 minutes it took them for general sale to sell out. Big things. There's got to be TV people looking at this because, we know live programming is the way to go for TV now because everything else people prefer to binge. But live sports is a big market still for TV. So I think that we're going to see a real global number 2 emerge very soon, if they haven't already.
Absolutely. And they haven't even announced any talent, and they could go into this without Kenny and the Bucks. There's every chance in the world they could go into it without Kenny and the Bucks. My personal opinion is that's the last night for Kenny and the Bucks, and then they go to WrestleMania the night after. That's all Raw after Mania. But
I said it on my All the Rest show. I would not put it past the Bucks to do a curtain call.
Oh yeah.
Remember the infamous curtain call with Triple H and Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and what have you?
Yeah.
I mean, they've modeled a lot of their stuff on the Click, right? Like it's kind of the in-joke. And so I think that if we are paying attention to what happens that weekend, if they do a curtain call, we know they're going WWE.
Right.
I think this gives them all the chips in terms of bargaining because their contracts run out in November, right? Contract season is November.
Yeah, November.
And WWE are going to want to keep them away from this Madison Square Garden show. And Ring of Honor and New Japan are going to want to make sure they are at this Madison Square Garden show. So their price just went up, which it was already a very high price. Right. So good for them.
Ring of Honor's, theirs is up in November. And then New Japan contracts are up on the 31st of January, I think it's 31st of January, I think they end. I think it's no, when did AJ come? He was in the Rumble. So I think it's about halfway through January, I think it ends.
Yeah, it's like they tend to sign them just after the Tokyo Dome show. Yeah,
it's like Kingdom to Kingdom. And that was literally because of that exodus from Gallows, Anderson, Styles, and Naka. That they started that 1 year thing because they were like, okay, let's concentrate on these contracts because we could just lose 4 or 5 people at one time. So, and then there's every chance in the world that Nakamura comes home. So there could be a talent swap. Nakamura can come home.
We could see Daniel Bryan as well leave, but I think that everything that's going on in the Indies is so exciting. I don't think the Young Bucks and Omega, I don't think they leave before the Madison Square Garden show because it's the first time anyone other than WWE are in the Garden, and of course the first time anyone other than WWE have sold out the Garden, and I think that they would not pass up the chance to headline that.
Exactly.
So I don't know if they would be the headline, but
Kenny Omega is headlining the Madison Square Garden.
We'll get into some more of this. We'll get into some more of this when we do the All-In preview show, I think, because I have some theories there too. But it's definitely exciting news for wrestling fans. And a lot of people are saying, oh, Vince has to be worried. I don't think he's worried. I think Vince, if anything, would be excited. Because Vince knows, just like we know, that he is at his best when there's someone nipping at his heels.
Right.
Because if you look at WWF in 94, 95, and then look at WWF in 96, 97, and you see the difference, and that's because WCW started nipping at his heels. It's when he does his best work. So he might be sitting there in the twilight of his career, ready to hand over the reins, going, oh boy, I get to have another war first. I think it's a very exciting time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with that,
we're done.
Where can people find you?
At BigBoy_Mikey on Twitter.
I am at GregUnchained on Twitter, at the GregUnchained on Instagram. Of course, collectively, you can find us and everyone else who hosts these shows at the B Plus Wrestling on Facebook or the B Plus Wrestle on Twitter because
wrestling just wouldn't fit.
That's what she said. We are also on YouTube. We are on Spotify. We are everywhere. We're taking over the globe. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. I'm going to add that one in. Leave a comment. And as always, thank you very much for listening.
Hold one. Arm drag.
You're not doing this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
Oh my God!
So, no speak English.
Dummy.
Goodbye and good night.
Hold two. Arm bar.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
It's still real to me, damn it. Dummy.
Hold three. The moss covered. 3 handles.